All right, it is all yours.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everybody. How are we? Perfect. Do we have a good weekend? Yeah, awesome. I did too. The weather's been super great. We're happy to be back in the fall time anyway. I miss summer. I'm a summer girl, but I also like the fall time as well. What about everybody else's weekend? Thumbs up? Did you guys win on Friday?
No.
That one's thumbs down.
JV won.
Okay, good job, Amy.
JV
Good job.
won awesome.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Awesome. Well, my name's Hillary. I am a firefighter paramedic at Burlington Fire Department. I just celebrated my 4-year anniversary a couple weeks back, so just kind of getting going there. A little bit about me is I went to school here, graduated 2010. It's been a minute, a very long minute ago. So I've been here. The office has changed, obviously. All these new things are happening, and I love to see it. It's really cool. New faces, new places, awesome things. But I grew up here. I love serving this community. That's what's really cool about my job is I get to be involved in our community and help people that are just people like us, like where we came from. So that's a really, really, really cool thing for me. How I kind of got into it is a very different side of firefighting paramedic. There's a lot of people that like you guys that are maybe like, yes, I want to be a firefighter like right now. Like, how do I get started? I want to do it. I want to do it now. That wasn't me. That was not me at all. When I was at school here, I did a lot of sports, volleyball, basketball, and golf, and I got hurt a lot. So in that time here, I got to know Scott Lineball. I know you guys have Kyle now as an athletic trainer, Kyle Peterson. That's what I aspired to be. When I was sitting in these same seats, I wanted to be an athletic trainer, which was helping people on the sidelines, sports medicine, making sure that I can help people that way. Anytime somebody goes down in the field, I wanted to be the first one there and rehab them back. So I went off into Central College in Pella. I got my 4-year degree in athletic training. From there, my big dreams were to be a athletic trainer for NASCAR. Fortunately, however you want to look at it, blessings in disguise. I moved back to town. I moved back to town to get more experience, and then I was going to apply for NASCAR and all of that good stuff. Well, I got turned down from 2 or 3 schools to get my master's degree, and so I was like, you know what, I'll just move home, take a year, kind of see where life takes me and how much I enjoy this, and I fell in love with it. I worked at the hospital, and I was contracted with Mediapolis, so I worked with Mediapolis for about 8 years as their athletic trainer. Through that job at the hospital, I started training the firefighters. I would be on the fitness specialist side of things. This is where it gets a little confusing in my career. So as an athletic trainer, that was sports medicine. And then the second part of my job was fitness specialist. So strength and conditioning certified. I got all of my coaching degrees and all of that stuff on the other half of my job. Through that half of my job is where I met the firefighters and where I thought, hey, this looks cool. You know, they're driven, they're teamwork atmosphere, they're great people, they're people that I wanted to be around, and they actually started becoming some of my best friends. So we would hang out on the weekends, and it was all real good, all great things. So COVID hit, 2020 came along, and we all know we were all affected by COVID, right? Lots and lots of different ways. So we didn't know about athletic training as a future at the hospital. It's still alive and well, but I wasn't necessarily looking for a job. The fire department took their certification level to where you could go in with just a high school diploma. So you used to have to be a paramedic, and then they dropped it to you had to be an EMT, and I'll explain all of that in a second. And then they dropped it to no experience. And a couple of my friends that I had met there, they said, hey, you should test for us. And I was like, yeah, you want me running into burning buildings with you? Do you think that's a great idea? And they're like, oh yeah, we can teach you how to do that. And I'm like, no, it's a terrible idea. There's no way I'm gonna do that. And so I laughed it off. I thought it was funny. And then the more like it just was enough to plant the seed. And I'm like, I would love to be a paramedic. I would love to be in the ambulance. I would love all those things. I knew EMS was going to be a good side for me. Very nervous about the fire side. So keep that in mind. So then I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'll have a job here next year, so let's at least try. Let's just see where this takes me. So I tested, and we'll get there too, but it's a physical agility test that was pretty tough. I passed it by 1 second. Well, no, I failed the first time. Also to be known. I failed the first time, and then the next week, I worked my butt off in the gym and made sure that I was like much better. So the next week I passed by 1 second, so it was not by a lot. Like I'm not anything special or superhuman, or I'm just here to tell you, like it was tough, and I was lucky to pass it by that 1 second. And then you take a written test, and then an interview, and then all of a sudden Chief was like, "Hey, do you want to work here?" I'm like, okay, can we like pump the brakes? Like I'm excited about all this. This is really cool. But do you really think I could run into burning buildings? And he's like, yeah, absolutely, we'll teach you. Okay, sign me up. Where do I sign? Okay, so that was how I started into this career, and I'll tell you that's very non-traditional. I would love to stand up here and be like, I've always wanted to be a firefighter. That just wasn't for me. Wasn't really my thought processes. But that's my story, and I love sharing it because it's just a little bit unconventional. And then I've been there for 4 years, and I'll talk a little bit more about how now I love running into burning buildings, and it's been the best career for me, and for a very lot of reasons. But we'll actually get to the educational part of my little chat here. So there's 1.3 million firefighters in the United States. Of that, 350,000 are paid career firefighters. There's different levels of being a firefighter. So you can be a volunteer, you can be paid on call, which means, so volunteer, you don't get paid to go out and run these calls. Those people are amazing people. I do not know how they do what they do, but they get up at 3 a.m. and they go because they're just that good of people. They go, they're not getting paid to do that. They just go and, oh, I'll help you. That's awesome. Thank you for doing that, volunteer firefighters. Paid on call, you will, if you show up on a call, then you get paid for that. And then a career firefighter, our schedule, we work 24 hours on, 48 off, and so we get paid a salary rate, just like a normal job. I'm thankful to do my job for money. What are the different benefits? So there are so many good things about being a firefighter. Our pay scale, inflation's really, my talk on this is usually a little bit different, but inflation's really shifted our pay scale. If you were to look it up, I looked it up last night in preparation for this. It's not as glamorous, I'll say, as what you would be thinking. So very median range of pay scale. So I'm gonna give you the number that the internet gave me last night. On average, $55,000 to $65,000 a year is what a career firefighter makes. That's just money. Let me get into the other cool benefits of this. That's just what they're paying you to do your job. $55,000 to $65,000, and everything's just changed once again. Retirement. This is huge, and I know when I was your guys' age, this retirement stuff didn't matter to me. I just didn't care. But I'm telling you, it's so important. Because when I was at the hospital, I was saving over half of my paycheck for what I could be at retirement. And that was like delayed gratification, right? I knew when I was 55, 65 years old that I wanted to go out and explore the world. So I knew that I needed more money, but that required me to save money, and save a lot of money, because that's all you get. When you're retired, I didn't want to work when I retired, but I knew I had to save that money. And then I'd come home, and I forgot this part of my story, but my dad and my brother are in law enforcement, and so they come home and they're talking about their pension system, and Dad's retiring, and he's like, yeah, the pension system sends me a check every month, and it's awesome, and he didn't save that money. So that's what I'm telling you, the pension system is huge. It's incredible, something that we do pay into. I am not going to say that that's not, but it goes to the pension board. The pension board, when you retire, gives you that money. They just write you a check every month until in your retired age. And that's a huge benefit. Our work schedule is my second most. The pension system is very huge. My second most favorite part of my job is the work schedule. So I work 24 hours on and then I'm off 48. So for example, I worked yesterday. I started at 8 a.m. I got off this morning at 8 a.m. and now I'm off again until today's Monday, Tuesday. I don't go back to work till Wednesday. So that gives you a lot of free time. You can pick up second jobs. I love to fish. I go fishing almost all my days off. Just do your hobbies. You can raise a family. You can do all these things that time allows you to when you have this schedule of 24 on, 48 off. Sometimes the 24 hours on can be a little rough. I was telling Mr. Carper, I didn't go to bed. I laid down from 9 to 11 and I haven't slept since 11 p.m. last night. And that's just because calls are coming in and it's all good. That's not a complaint. That's the reality of that 24 hours on. Something else that's really important to me is just our team environment. We have people that watch our backs. And if I'm struggling, they pick me up. Or if somebody else is struggling, I pick them up. Or if my best friend is going into that burning building, I'm following them right behind them. I'm not leaving anybody out or anybody behind, and we just work cohesively as a team. And we have leaders in that team, and then we're all a part of something, which is important too. This next part is pretty cool. There's lots of different job duties that we can do. So this top picture is like we're training for, actually, this picture's not very good, but I'm in the middle as a fitness specialist. So this was before I even got hired on here. But we were all doing pool training, like pool rescue training, getting people out of water, what that looked like. So we got to go swimming a day, which is awesome. And then the second picture is rope rescue. So technical rescue stuff. You can do rappelling off buildings, anything rope related, which is really cool too. There's the rescue stuff is so fun. Ice rescue, boat rescue, trench rescue. There's so many things, vehicle extrication that we're trained to do. And so you're just you have all these jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing. So you get to train to be a rope rescue technician. You get to train to be a trench rescue, boat rescue, ice rescue. You get to do all that, which is really cool. Then another one you get to do is EMS. I'll talk a big chunk about that, but being a paramedic is a really cool thing as well. We're on an ambulance, and if the call drops, it's your duty to go help that person, no matter what the call is. It could be old Ethel fell and needs help up, or it could be CPR in progress, and everything in between. So that's what makes it fun and exciting, because you just never know what's going to happen. If we were on duty today, it could happen in the next 30 seconds or in the next 2 hours. You just never know what that EMS side looks like. And that's a majority of our calls. That number was just reading. I think 84.3% of our calls last quarter were EMS calls. So that's what we're doing the majority of our day. When you're on an ambulance, that's your job. You're just going out and helping people, which is really cool. And of course, being a firefighter, so what does that look like, right? Obviously, structure fires. That's going to be something that we pack up. We get our hoses, we get our helmets, we get all of our things, and we're going to go into that building, make sure we have 3 initiatives: life safety, incident stabilization, and property conservation. So life safety is number 1. We're going to make sure that nobody's in there. So we do primary searches, make sure everybody's clear. And then incident stabilization, we got to get the incident so that it's not burning anymore. We got to eradicate the issue. Got to put water on the fire. So that's our next thing. Then property conservation. Water, fire, smoke does a lot of damage to a lot of houses. It's our 3rd job to make sure that we limit the amount of damage that happens in these situations. House fires aren't fun, and they're not fun for the citizen. They're not fun for the people we protect. Obviously, you lose a lot of things. It's my job to be at the best of my level to keep as much of your stuff intact as I can. That would be the property conservation piece of that. Inspections. I haven't done many inspections. That usually happens like fire marshal. He's been a firefighter before, he's been a captain, and now he's our fire marshal. He goes around to these new buildings. He's been working on Chick-fil-A for a while now. Who's excited for Chick-fil-A? Anybody? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So he's been working on that one for a while, and when that, even the building plans, Chick-fil-A has had to send him saying, okay, this is a sprinkler system we're using, this is where you're gonna hook up, blah, 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 blah. Like all these numbers and things that fire marshal's very good at. Me, on the other hand, maybe someday. Not today. Lots and lots of different things that you can do as a paramedic firefighter. Okay, what does our day look like? Lots of our schedules in our day, like I said, we get there at 8 a.m. Well, you try to get there at 7:30. 8 a.m. our morning meeting starts, meaning everybody on our shift. We have 3 stations in town. Does anybody know where Station 1 is downtown? Anybody? What you got?
What do you mean?
Where is it at? Is it in the middle of downtown? Is it?
Isn't it like close to Jefferson?
Yep, good job. 5th and Valley. So Jefferson goes this way, Valley goes this way, and we're right in the middle. Good job. What about Station 2? Go ahead.
It's on Summer Street.
Yep, good job. And Station 3. This one's the hard one. Go ahead. Okay, that one's Station 2. Nope, you're okay. Station 3 is over in West Burlington. Well, it's technically in Burlington, but Station 3 is this little itty bitty station that's probably
About like those car companies.
kind of. Do you know where the Broadway is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a restaurant on Broadway Street. We're right across from there. We don't even look like a fire station. It looks like a factory because it's actually Wald Foods. It's like a factory, but it's not this big. So if I'm like here, probably to that wall, and there's like 2 bedrooms that probably go to that second row. We're just in this itty bitty little apartment thing. And we have 1 ambulance that runs out of Station 3. So all crews get on our morning meeting, it's called Teams, and we have a little discussion on our day, what it looks like. Do we have training? Do we have smoke detector installs? Do we have lift assist? What's our day looking like? A lot of times, right after morning meeting, we'll do our workouts. So we all get together as a team, usually, and we get our 3 laps in, and then we go upstairs and we do some weight training, anything that you feel like you need to work on. We do our workouts, and then we go right into training. So training right now has been kind of fun. We have a couple houses on 6th Street, which is right from Central Station downtown, across from Harmony Bible Church. We've been doing a lot of live training, not live fire, we haven't lit any fires, but we've been able to do some primary searches, some ladders, cutting holes in roofs, like the things that we are actually applicable to our jobs, which has been a fun thing. So we'll spend 3 to 4 hours training, and then we have lunch. Lunch is good. Everybody else like lunch?
Look at the Chromebook. No.
Lunch is good. Yes, that's another favorite part of my day. So we get together, we have lunch. Sometimes we eat out and about. You can kind of see us. A lot of times Mazio's is a spot. I don't know. You might see us out and about. Or we cook on our own. And each station does their own thing. And in the afternoon, it's kind of your time. So right now, there's a couple certifications that I'm working on. So I'll sit down and I'll study. Our paramedic students are sitting down and studying. And then we have dinner about 5 to 6 o'clock. And then we wash our trucks so that they get nice and shiny at 6. 6 o'clock is always time to wash. Then we hang out a little bit more. And then we're able to lay down and rest at 9 p.m. So we do have beds and bedrooms that we can lay down and go to sleep at 9 p.m. So that's pretty cool. All while running your emergency call. So while I gave you the normal cutout of our day, whenever a tone drops, we gotta go. So with that being said, those 3 stations, there's 3 ambulances at each station, so it's all divided. Our town is divided up into 3 territories. So if an EMS call drops right here, right now, Central Station's coming. If a call drops to Scooters, that's Station 3 in West Burlington. Station 2 would be like Poncheros would come there. So the town's just kind of divided up, so we have those going. And then our fire trucks, those are 2 fire trucks in their territories. We just split the town in half, basically. So that's how that's ran. Anytime emergency calls are our #1 priority. So, and there's times, we had one day, like 2 weeks ago, we had all 3 of our normal ambulances out, and then we had our 2 backup ambulances out. So we had 5 ambulances going at one time, and that gets to be kind of crazy. In the mornings, we do our station maintenance equipment maintenance stuff. Make sure your truck's good, make sure your air packs are good. Your air pack's what sits on your back as a firefighter. Gotta make sure that that has at least 4,000 pounds of air for you to go fight a fire with. Physical fitness, I talked about that. Public education, there's times that tours will come in, or we come out and chat with classes. We do some, at Grimes, we do like rock and reader program where we sit down and read some books to the elementary school kiddos. Like I said, emergency response takes priority over everything else. And then the last one's paperwork. Unfortunately, we can't get away from paperwork. It's something that's just a part of your job. So every incident that I go on, EMS or fire, I have to document that I was there, and I have to document on how I found the patient. So we can use my seizure patient. I had a seizure this morning at 3:30 in the morning. He was laying there and seizing, so you have to document everything that you see that patient doing. And so then we have to get said patient to our ambulance, so you have to write how we got that, how we did that. We loaded him into a stair chair, we got him outside and into the ambulance. Okay, now we're there. So now what did I do? I took his vital signs, I put him on the monitor, I made sure his heart was doing okay, and I started a IV, just in case. So if he has another seizure, I can give him medication to stop that seizure. Then you get him to the hospital, then you give him your report of what you found, what you gave, and all of that good stuff. Another patient this morning, I started IV and gave them Zofran for nausea, and then their blood pressure was super low, so I had to also give them some fluids too. So each call is just a little bit different that way, and you have to make sure that it's documented specifically correctly. The people in charge of us, our bosses, they do paperwork on all of our fire scenes. So we had a fire call this morning down at the Dial building. There was some squad, like homeless people, burning in a building. So obviously that's not good. So we had to go extinguish that fire. Our bosses do all of that paperwork. I wouldn't even know how to. I could probably figure it out, but that paperwork's a little bit more just different than an EMS call would be on a regular basis. Okay, does anybody want to be a firefighter yet, or we're just still kind of learning? Okay, cool. Trust me, that's where I was. Okay, so these are just some kind of direction as to what direction you could go. If you get done talking with me today and you're like, oh, maybe I want to try that out, an Explorer post is a great thing. We have one at BFE. There's 3 members of it that are there almost every day. They're there a lot. Then they're like anywhere from 14 to 18, I believe, is our age ranges. And they do training with us, they do all sorts of things, they hang out with us, they go on calls with us. It's just a good way to kind of see if hey, I kind of like this, or yeah, no, ain't for me. A volunteer fire department. West Burlington is a paid on call volunteer department. They would be another way that you could kind of see if you like doing this. You do their trainings with them and all of those things. You can kind of just see how that looks. Physical fitness is always something to kind of keep in mind if you want to maybe do firefighting down the road, just because of the job itself. It's very labor intensive. It's very, when you have all your pack and all your gear on and everything, that's an extra 70 pounds. With that extra 70 pounds, I'm expected to run up and down 8 flights of stairs and make sure that everybody's clear from rooms, and making sure, okay, if I find, hopefully not, if I find somebody, that I can get them back down those 8 flights of stairs to safety, right? So it's just a labor intensive career. So just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind, like, oh, if I maybe want to do this, I want to fuel my body with the right things and be physically active as well. Education. So there's different routes to this. Like I said, I started off and I got my degree in something totally unrelated to fire, but it still benefits me. As you climb up the ladder to be a boss, to be a leader in the department, you have to have that 4-year degree. So always something to kind of know that it's important to have too. If you think this is something you want to do, right, when you graduate, even when you're 18, or even now, I think BHS has a good where you can take college courses. And if you were thinking about doing those, you would take like medical terminology, anatomy, physiology, kind of understanding the human body. So then you can get right into the EMS program. EMS program at SEC is top notch. I see Jim is coming in to talk to you. Jim's who taught me paramedic, and he is very, very, very good at his job. You would start in the EMT program, which is 1 semester in the EMT program, and that's where you kind of get your basis, kind of get your wings to kind of start into paramedicine. You'll do some clinical hours in the ER. You'll just learn a lot. We talk about this a lot. You can't be a good paramedic if you're not a good EMT. So it's important to focus in on that 1 semester of EMT. And it's kind of crazy to think that it's only 1 semester and you could have a career that you're making $55,000, right? Like that's pretty awesome. The next step would be the paramedic. So that is going to be 3 semesters long. You're going to do 1 semester with clinicals, and then another semester, and then your 3rd semester, though, is like ride time, where you're with me on the ambulance, and we're doing things all together as one. So that 3rd semester is more like a on-the-job training type situation, less of school. Then you go and you have to pass your test, and then you're off and running. So once again, it's a really, really good way, if school's not your most favorite thing, to just power through 4 semesters of work, and then you're set up for success for a really, really great career. You can get your AA degree or bachelor's degree in fire science as well, which is only going to help you. So if you want to maybe think this is somewhere you think you might want to go, feel free to take 1 class of Intro to Fire Science at SEC. That's an option. There's lots and lots and lots of options that way for education. We kind of already talked about this. Something else to kind of keep in mind, just be smart when you are, for anything, not just being a firefighter. When you're out driving, make sure you're being smart on the road, and you're not speeding, and you're not going through stop signs, and you're putting your blinkers on, and you're not getting pulled over. So these are things that the fire department does. They do a huge background check. I had to sit down with a detective, and we had to talk about literally everything in my past, like even just the silly stuff that you wouldn't think would get you in it, like be an issue. I think I overthought one of them, and they're like, well, I see here where this happened, XYZ happened, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So just kind of keep in mind that it's really, really important to stay a good standing citizen, that they will do background checks on you. Keep your criminal record clean. Just kind of as you keep going through life. Once again, not necessarily just for being a firefighter, but definitely for the bigger picture of life. So this is the way our testing process works, and this is what I was kind of telling you. The CPAP test, I think he usually shows the video. Okay, perfect. So you kind of already know what that looks like. This was tough. This is the thing that I only passed by 1 second. First you're on the stair mill and you're like, okay, I got this. I'm good. Everything's good. And then you get off the stair mill and you're like, your legs are all jello and they don't move. And anybody know that feeling? Yeah. So then you're like, okay, I got this. We're fine. And then you start doing the rest of it. And I was doing good until I got to that sled. I know when you watch that and you have to like hit it in between your legs, and yeah, that was tough. And it was all about strategy. Like I was doing it like chopping wood. Well, it helps if you just kind of do like good contact, and more or less on the contact and less on the force of doing it. So it just took me a little bit of learning to do that. And then we get to the dummy drag, and Rescue Randy is like 175 pounds, and then you gotta wear gloves, and like my gloves were slipping off. That was a hard part too. I had to drag him so far, and then that's when you find out if you failed or passed. So that was a tough thing. Definitely something that you can prepare for though. That's what you can prepare for it, and you can pass it if you're determined enough to do that. The written test is going to be a lot like your standardized testing. I don't know what you guys call it these days, but like for us it was Iowa Test of Basic Skills, ITBS. I'm sure that's not called that because I've been gone for a long time. But it's like a very standardized. Ask you some math questions, ask you some reading questions, some comprehension questions. Just kind of gives you like a good thought process on the whole thing. So then once you pass those two things, you get that civil service list. And that means like you're approved to be hired from the list. The list says so. And then you go into your interviews, and interviewing is a very good life skill. No matter if you want to do police, fire, public service, whatever you're interested in, interviewing skills are important. Our interview skills are very behavioral based. So I remember one of my questions was, tell me about a time that you had a difficult conversation with a patient at the hospital. And of course you're like, okay, you think back of all the difficult conversations you've ever had, or a bind that you got in, and how did you get out of it? And you kind of have to narrow it down to where, okay, this is maybe a negative experience because I had a difficult conversation, but I have to make it positive so then I look good for my maybe future bosses. So interviewing skills would be something else that I really encourage you to take like an online course on or something, because that's how you can get jobs. It could be a make or break type situation. If I'm looking at Sue and Bob, and Bob looks perfect on paper. He's been a volunteer fire department guy for 7 years, and he's been a paramedic for 3 of those 7 years, and just he's looking so good, but he just looks at you and stares and doesn't make conversation. He says his difficult conversation that he had was, oh, I ran into somebody at lunch, and I guess, I didn't get the piece of pizza I wanted because he got it. I'm like, oh yeah, well it looks like you're a really good paramedic, but unfortunately you can't even have a conversation with me. So then I'm gonna look at my next candidate, and I have Sue, who has 0 experience, and she at least is like, okay, the difficult conversation I had was, there was a really bummer situation. Somebody fell off of a treadmill. I don't know. Somebody fell off of a treadmill and they were hurt, and I had to get them help. You kind of have to have the good interview skills, and that's, if I could inspire you to do anything today, just maybe look up some online interviewing skill courses, anything that way that gives you that upper hand when it's time to shine, because you're all shining. What does this look like? So, like I was saying, I needed to update this. I didn't get in here and do it. But we're $55,000 to $65,000 a year starting for our annual wages, and like globally. Nope, sorry, countrywide, United States wide. There is strong competition for these jobs. Right now, we are fully staffed. -1. We just had somebody leave to go to Michigan. So we have 1 person, and when we were hiring 6 people, and we had 18 people on our list, I think, which is really good. You'll hear the police officers come in here and be like, man, we're not full staff. We haven't been full staff for years. We're getting mandatory overtime. So as a firefighter, we're very lucky that way. We're lucky that we have people wanting to become firefighters and wanting to work for us and all of those things. So, but that doesn't mean it's not competitive, because it is very competitive. As you grow in your career as a firefighter, you can start out, like I said, kind of with no experience and start EMS, paramedic, general firefighter, kind of on the fun line of things. That's where I could stay here because I enjoy having a lot of fun and all of those things. You can stay right where you want to be, and then you can get promoted up to being lieutenant, where you're leading people, and captains, where you're leading people in the fires, and you're the first one in the fire, and you're on a fire truck all the time. And then you get up to like battalion chiefs who run our shift. You're in charge of all 15 of us at every point in time. Then you move up to fire marshal, deputy chief, and chief, and those are our administration, and they're there Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. They have those normal 40-hour work weeks that look a little different than what we do. So there's lots of opportunities that way. I'm going to circle back my story on to how I actually now loved going into fires. So, like I said, I was very hesitant. I was very much like, I don't know about this part. Put me on an ambulance and I'm going to thrive. I'm going to do great. I think I can't wait to do that. Then I start my firefighter 1 training, day 1. I mean, it was day 1. And they put you in your SCBA and they put your mask on you, and they kind of just have you like sit and breathe and make sure that, one, you can tolerate all of that and it's not like claustrophobia to you. Because it's weird when you go to breathe in air that's on a mask and an SCBA. It's weird to like breathe that kind of air. It just feels funny. So they kind of just get you used to that. And then they get you used to putting your gear on. So our gear, what's that look like? It's got boots, we got pants that are like suspenders, pants. Those go on over your clothes. And then we have a jacket, gloves, a hood. The hood protects your ears and your neck from any fire exposure. And then you have your face piece that fits here, and then your helmet. And that's what, like without your SBA, that's what a firefighter looks like. So they're getting you in and out of your gear. And so you put all your gear on, and then you take all your gear off, and then you put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off. And you get to the point where you're putting on all of those things within 30 seconds. And there's like, your training officer sitting there and like timing you. Gotta be faster, gotta be faster, gotta be faster, gotta be faster. And then they put like an SCBA back on you. And so now it's like a challenge, right? I'm like, okay, first time I did this in a minute. Okay, second time I did it in 30 seconds, or I did it in 50 seconds and 40 seconds. And I was thriving. Like, this is like, oh yeah, I like all this. Okay, now at least I can put my gear on. This is cool. Okay, nobody's told me how to do anything else. Okay. So we continue moving on through firefighter 1, and I haven't seen live fire yet, but I'm really enjoying this. This is all going really well. I'm doing primary searches. I feel like I'm pulling ceiling and fire scenes. I'm like, okay, I'm a firefighter. I feel good about all this. I do EMT school with all that training, and then my next semester, so 2021, spring of 21, I went to the fire academy, and that was 7 weeks over in Champaign, Illinois. And it is a grueling 7 weeks. I'm not gonna say, I've never been to boot camp, but it's very, so I can't compare the two directly, but very boot camp-esque, I will say. So this, also, day 1, they put us into live fire. So my first time being in live fire was at Fire Academy. And they make a fire in the middle, and they make you, as a team, go around and do push-ups and squats and overhand arm claps, just to get you like used to this fire, which was a good thing for me because I'd never done it. But it's getting hot, like it's hot, and I don't know. Obviously, fire is hot, but you get that close to really big fire, and you have all your gear on, so they trust your gear. It just was a trust thing for me. Now I'm like, okay, I'm getting hot, but I'm not burning. Like I should be burning, but my coat's keeping me safe. So these were all good experiences for me. And then day 2, they give us actual hoses, and then we actually get to put the fire out. And that's when everything was like clicked into place for me. Like I felt like I can do this. I love doing this. This is fun for me. by the end of the 7 weeks, the boot camp part got to be extremely grueling, extremely hard. I was so glad to be done with the 7 weeks, but I came out of there knowing that the next structure fire in Burlington, Iowa, I wanted to be the first truck on it. I was the first person in the house. I wanted to be that person because I trusted my training. And once that training happened, I felt comfortable with being uncomfortable and running into house fires and all of those things. So another big life lesson I learned from that, right, was even if you think you can't do something, but you're willing to try and give it a chance, the world can open up a lot of opportunities for you. So that was a great opportunity for me to learn, and something that I take pride in, because when I know that there's a structure fire, I want to be on that hose line, and I want to put the fire out, and I want to keep people safe from the fire. And life safety, incident stabilization, and property conservation. I want to do those 3 main tactics every time I show up on a fire scene. So that's kind of my story, all of that. I said I would explain this a little bit more, but my dad and brother are in law enforcement, and that was never gonna be me. I just knew that from, I could never do what they did, and then this opportunity presented itself, and helping people and doing those things was really, really cool. A few more minutes. What kind of questions? I know you have that paper in front of you, and I know I forgot a couple things. It was my first one of the day. What questions haven't I answered? Go ahead.
How has your career affected your life?
Yeah, my career has affected me greatly. It's been the best change for me, personally. As far as the family goes, I don't have, I'm not married, I don't have kids, so my family is my brother and my mom and my dad, and I have a niece now, which is super awesome, I love her, but I feel like it's done good things for the whole family. Our dinners are a little funny because the guys are always harping that the firefighters are the heroes and they're the zeros, and that I never work. My brother loves to tell me that. We just got back from family vacation not too long ago, and he was like, how do you even get 10 days off now? And then he's like, you're off for, I take October and November off for deer hunting. He's like, and then you're off for 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks coming up. How do you get all this time off? You just gotta be a firefighter, Dale. I don't know. That's a good thing. We have a lot of good conversations that way. What other questions? Oh, I must have answered them. Did I do pretty good?
Your dad was police in Burlington.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
What is your advice for someone interested in this career?
Never give up, and always keep your eyes open to any opportunities that could come your way. So even if it's firefighting, definitely was never really on my radar until I got to enjoy it with my friends and train them. So keep your eyes open, always keep your head up. It's going to be tough. There's going to be hard times in everybody's life. Just kind of keep putting one foot in front of the other. Any other firefighting questions? It's a pretty cool career. It's awesome. Like I said, it's hard to talk about it as like I love it, because you are usually a part of some people's worst day that they will never forget. No matter if it's an EMS call or a fire call, you're just there for when somebody's in distress. For me to sit here and tell you that I love that is crazy, because it's people's bad days. But I'm glad to be there for the people of Burlington and our surrounding communities. Our territory goes clear over to Illinois, so there's times that we're on an ambulance call, we get it, and it's like 26 minutes for us to get from Burlington to the patient. That's a long time, and I'd hate to be there for 30 minutes, like, where's my help? That would suck. So yeah, it's rewarding, it's awesome, but what I'll say is just always keep your eyes open for any opportunity that could come your way, because being a firefighter is really, really great. If you guys do have questions, this is my email address. Feel free to contact me whenever. If you're thinking about the Explorer program, It's over there, and it has been for a while. So it's Captain Howard is who you would talk to, and he's wonderful, one of the nicest guys. And that's our fire station phone number if you have any questions.
All right, guys, let's give it up for Hillary. Nice job. All right, guys, got to run.